With NHL training camp starting up for the New York Rangers, it is no surprise, of course, that many players, especially the star ones, have, come out and talked with the media. And there has been one player in particular, of course, that is in a very interesting spot, with that being Artemi Panarin, as he is, of course, the number one offensive threat on this New York Rangers team. He's been consistently the top point producer on this New York Rangers squad since he has joined the Rangers. And this is obviously someone who's entering the final season of his massive over $11.6 million contract. And with that happening, there is, of course, a big question on kind of what's going to happen with Panarin as he will be entering the final year of his deal, as that means next summer he will become an unrestricted free agent, where it could be a time where there are multiple other superstars that are becoming available in free agency. So we've got some pretty big news and updates to kind of take a look at involving the Artemi Panarin situation. And with the New York Rangers preseason starting up on Sunday, September 21st, I figured we'd also kind of take a look at the schedule there and sort of preview this upcoming preseason for the Rangers as well. So let's just start off here by taking a look at the preseason schedule for the Rangers, and then we'll take a look at the Artemi Panarin news after that. So starting off here with the schedule, though, the first game, like I said, will be played on Sunday, so tomorrow, September 21st at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, so an afternoon game against the New Jersey Devils at the Prudential Center, so an away game, of course. Then you've got on the Tuesday, September 23rd at 7 p.m., there's a game against the Boston Bruins at MSG, so a home game. Then the Thursday, you've got another game at 7 p.m. against the Islanders, also at MSG. Then on Monday, September 29th at 7, you've got the Islanders up against the Rangers, and that is an away game at the UBS Arena. On Thursday, October 2nd at 7 p.m., you've got the Rangers once again going up against the New Jersey Devils, and this game is at MSG. And then to finish things off there, the last preseason game will be on Saturday, October 4th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time against the Boston Bruins at TD Garden, before the Rangers will take on the Pittsburgh Penguins in their season opener. And I'm just excited for this upcoming preseason. I think it should be a really fun one, especially just with how many kind of bodies they're going to be, especially young guys and prospects that are really going to be competing for some of these spots at the NHL level. And of course, most of these prospects and young guys aren't going to actually get these spots because there's only so many to go around. And, not all of guys like Noah Laba or Brett Berard or an Hoffman or a Perreault are all going to get NHL jobs, but some of them might and some of them will, and I think it's just going to be a lot of fun to really kind of watch which prospects are maybe really at that kind of level or ready to take that step to the NHL, because last season we saw guys like, of course, Perreault, Berard, and Hoffman kind of take that jump and leap towards the NHL. They got their couple games there. Hoffman got like 22 games, whatever it was. Berard had a good run as well, so we saw some guys actually get some pretty good game time there and some experience, but it's just exciting to see kind of who is going to be a part of that next wave there. Is it going to be guys like, a kind of Scott Morrow, although he did get some games, of course, with Carolina last season. He just got picked up in that Chris Kreider trade. Is it going to be a guy like a Dylan Rubrek? Is he about ready? Is it a Jackson Dorrington? There are a lot of prospects that I think are kind of about NHL ready, and some guys who have played the last couple of years, maybe with Hartford or last season with Hartford, and previously had some good years in junior or at college. So I think there are quite a few about NHL ready prospects, guys that are kind of about ready to knock on the door. And I just think with that being said, there's going to be a lot of kind of guys fighting for these spots. So it should be a pretty fun, entertaining preseason to watch as fans, because there are just going to be so many young guys battling as hard as they can to earn that NHL job. And now let's move on and kind of take a look at the Artemi Panarin situation and kind of see what he had to say about the matter and this whole situation with him entering the final season of his massive contract. And in the TSN article, they do go on to say, New York Rangers star winger Artemi Panarin appears set to enter the season as a pending unrestricted free agent as he plays out the last of a 7-year, $81.5 million contract. And they go on to say, Panarin sidestepped Thursday when asked if he felt it was important to ink a new deal before the season starts. Quote, "That's obviously good for everyone to feel that security, but I'm not in my first year in hockey, so I'm used to being in those situations. Not every year, but it is what it is right now," Panarin said per NHL.com. Quote, "I'm not complaining right now. I'm ready to work hard." And, Panarin is a really, really key player for this Rangers team. At the very start of this video, I did mention, I believe, how Panarin has every single season that he's been with this team consistently, year in and year out, has been the top point producer every single time. So I think that goes to show that, he may not be a perfect all-around player. He's not going to bring a ton defensively. He's not going to bring much physically. But what he is going to bring is a phenomenal offensive game. And yes, come playoff time, there's been some moments when he's kind of gone a little quiet, but for the most part, in the regular season, he has been that superstar guy and has definitely been worth that massive contract that he was given. Of course, at the time, it was a, massive deal, of course. There were some questions about it and how it would age, but I think as a whole, if we're being honest, as Rangers fans, although, yes, his team didn't go out there and win that cup, but they still had a lot of success with Panarin on this team. And he, like I said, every single regular season has been the team's leading point producer since he's gotten here. So I definitely think this contract has been worth it. But at the end of the day, the ultimate goal is to win that cup, and this team has failed to do that. So it hasn't gone perfectly, yes, but I do think this contract was not bad at all. And there is kind of a big question, though, right now with Panarin. And, I think with the other kind of superstar guys that are going to be potentially available in free agency, it definitely kind of adds to the kind of massive question around this situation, because right now there are unsigned superstars that, will be heading in, as of right now, into next offseason to become unrestricted free agents, and those guys are, Connor McDavid, Kirill Kaprizov. Obviously, there was all that kind of stuff happening with him declining that massive contract. There's still that going on as well. So, does he end up hitting free agency? We'll have to wait and see. There's other guys as well, like, of course, Jack Eichel. You've got Kyle Connor, Martin Netchas, Rasmus Anderson, a pretty good defenseman, a top 4 guy, top pairing caliber guy, you could argue. So there are going to be lots of really, really good top 4 caliber defensemen, even a couple top pairing guys maybe, or, a couple top line or top 6 caliber forwards, some real superstar caliber players that are going to be available potentially in this upcoming free agency. And that's kind of the big kind of question and problem right now, is you kind of almost got to wait and see what happens there with, what kind of deals these guys end up signing, and also, who becomes available, because this team very well might end up kind of rather, going out there and paying an extra few mil maybe on top of what you'd have to give Panarin, and give that to someone like a Kaprizov or somehow McDavid or an Eichel or Kyle Connor instead of the aging Panarin. And I'm not saying Panarin is, a bad player, or is going to be a bad player in the next year or two, but I just think with his, massive contract, of course, finally expiring, and with where this team is at cap-wise and kind of roster-wise right now, going out there and, picking up a guy who is in his prime years, who is a superstar, but who's on the kind of better side of 30, he's in his kind of 20s now, his late 20s, instead of approaching his kind of mid-30s, you might rather that kind of situation. So that's why there is a lot of kind of questions right now with everything going on right now with Panarin and with the potential free agents that could become available. And, of course, why there's so much talk with Kaprizov, because there's just so many kind of factors right now with all these superstars, that are going to be potentially available heading into next offseason, with also the cap, skyrocketing up. Are all these guys kind of waiting to see one guy kind of sign an extension, and then the other stars and superstars are going to sign their extensions to kind of, match those kind of deals? That's kind of the big question right now. We don't know what's going to happen, because no big superstar guys, that are going to be potential free agents next offseason have signed their big extensions yet. So I think we're kind of waiting on that side of things. Once a McDavid or an Eichel or a Kaprizov, does sign, then maybe we start to see some other of those guys kind of, re-sign with their teams. And then we see the Rangers try and go out there and just bring back Panarin, because those other guys coming off the table. Like, we don't exactly know as of right now. So it's kind of all up in the air, really and truly. So I think for right now, it definitely does make a lot of sense for this team and Panarin to probably just head into this offseason, or at least head into this season, with the intention on just not having a deal done right now, which I think is kind of fine. And now we'll take a look at a quote here from Chris Drury, the Rangers general manager, and he goes on to say, quote, "I've said many times on record what I think of him as a player," Rangers general manager Chris Drury said of Panarin earlier this week. Quote, "He's a huge piece of our team and our organization. He does not appear to me to be slowing down. He takes his offseason seriously. He looks like he's in great shape and ready to go. As far as the contract stuff, I've also said on record that I don't talk about negotiations publicly. Any conversations I have with Panarin or his representation will stay that way, just private." And I think that makes a lot of sense, of course. You don't need to air out all your dirty laundry. I mean, some of the stuff, sure, us fans want to know. And sure, I'd like to know what's going on with this situation here with Panarin, but I can fully understand why a general manager would not want to have that stuff aired out. So that makes full sense there. And, to me, as of right now, I don't think an extension is going to get done as of this moment. But like I said, if we do start to see some other guys like a McDavid, like a Kyle Connor, whoever it is, these top superstar guys, Corey Kaprizov, a Eichel, doesn't matter. Once we see one of those guys actually sign their extension, that's when we may end up actually starting to see some other guys start to sign their new deals as well, which could obviously make the Rangers go into a situation where they're getting a little desperate and want to get a deal done with Panarin. So we'll have to wait and see. Like I said, as of right now, I have no idea what's going to happen because this is kind of a waiting game as of this moment with the other kind of superstars that are available. I'm sure the Rangers aren't going to want to go out there and, lock up a ton of cap towards an older kind of superstar when maybe they can go out there and get a possibly younger guy. So I think we'll have to wait and see what happens there. But at the end of the day, Panarin is a real big part of this Rangers squad. He is a clear number one offensive threat by far on this team and is definitely going to be a huge part of this team for this upcoming season if this team wants to have any sort of success at all. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching today's video. If you have enjoyed, definitely don't forget to click that like and subscribe button for daily New York Rangers content, as I do post a video every single day about the New York Rangers. And also, definitely don't forget to comment down below your thoughts on today's video. And, honestly, what are your thoughts on this Panarin situation? Do you want to see them go out there and kind of sign into an extension right now? Although that doesn't seem necessarily likely. Would rather see them wait to see what guys like, McDavid or Kaprizov or Eichel are going to do, because those are obviously guys that if they somehow got to free agency would likely be kind of top targets for the Rangers, and they would be, one of those few teams that actually seem quite realistic to possibly get one of those guys. So let me know your thoughts on this whole situation. Would you want to see the team go out there and trade for Kaprizov? Because we heard those rumors. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I'll catch you next one, and bye.